So we've got some more conversations to dive into when it comes to Eastern teams and guys that could be of interest. So, today we're focusing on the Ottawa Senators, and yeah, I feel like an idiot right now. I kinda done goofed. And it wasn't really my fault, but I was just kind of going off the vibes, man, going off the momentum, because a few days ago, we did make a video saying that the Ottawa Senators had themselves some really absurdly high Stanley Cup odds. And we said, hey, Money Puck has Ottawa as the 5th best team in the model odds of winning the Stanley Cup. And I said, in that video, it's not like that's going to stay, but it is indicative of the team's success in recent games, not necessarily in terms of the wins and the losses, but just in how they've been playing. And even some of the guys, Thomas Chabot, Nick Jensen, they've been getting props recently too with hockey stat cards. We've been talking about the analytical play of the Ottawa Senators and how it was great, but I did say in that video that, hey, the Sens are playing off against the Hurricanes that same day, so top 5 odds for the Cup right now, that is not guaranteed to stay. It's not guaranteed to be nearly as high by the time the Sens and the Hurricanes game is complete. And lo and behold, the Ottawa Senators got shut out. And it was a bad game, and if you go over to Money Puck and their odds right now for the Stanley Cup playoffs, yeah, the Sens are nowhere near top 5 anymore. They are down there at the, where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th overall spot. It is totally night and day. So, do I feel bad? Kinda, not really. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not like I had any control over it. I was just going off the vibes. But today, we are going over to an article that dives into some extra names that the Ottawa Senators could go out there and target. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description to 2 pieces. Firstly, we have ourselves this from Julian McKenzie on The Athletic on November 14th. What should Ottawa Senators GM Steve Staios be targeting in a trade? Here is your Sens mailbag. Now, The Athletic is paid for material, and it seems like they've really upped to their anti-piracy thing, so you're really going to need to subscribe to The Athletic if you want to go ahead and read this article. Either way, though, it's going to be linked in the description if you do have The Athletic, but I'll also leave a link in the description to one of the more recent editions of Spectre's Hockey. This is from November 17th by Lyle Richardson, because what this article does, not behind a paywall, by the way, it goes out there and brings us some of the ideas that Julian McKenzie writes about in The Athletic, although it's paraphrased, the same information is still there. So, both articles are going to be linked in the description, but for the sake of presenting things in a form that's accessible to all, we're going to be reading from the Spectre's Hockey article. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see the Senators should target a defenseman. From The Athletic, Julian McKenzie was recently asked by a reader what area the Ottawa Senators should shore up before the new year. McKenzie believes that the Sens need a penalty-killing, middle-pairing defenseman who can be mainly used on the third pairing but can be bumped up in a pinch. McKenzie suggested Blue Jackets defenseman Jordan Harris as a trade target. He was shipped to Columbus by the Canadiens this summer in the Patrick Laine deal, but doesn't yet seem to have fit with the Jackets. Spectre's note goes out there and says this: maybe the Sens might look into David Jiricek's availability, though I think the Jackets would prefer hanging on to the promising 20-year-old rearguard. So, let's talk about these 2 Columbus Blue Jackets defensemen and whether or not the Ottawa Senators could grab onto them. I just wanted to say first and foremost that the Sens have been, for the most part, really good defensively. We had highlighted those 2 guys earlier in the video. Thomas Chabot has been a monster this year. Nick Jensen has also looked pretty strong in certain areas of the season. And if you go over to some of the guys that are underperforming, hey, like Jake Sanderson hasn't really looked all too great. The team is not getting the best out of him, but Thomas Chabot, like, I cannot stress this enough. Thomas Chabot has legitimately been one of the best defensemen in the league the past few weeks here. I mean, the recent NHL Team of the Week from November 8th to November 15th just came out, and Thomas Chabot is the number 1 right D. He has been fantastic. So, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that the Sens are bad defensively, but you could always go out there and improve, right? So that's what Julian McKenzie is going out there and insinuating, because the Sens could use more defensive depth if you wanted to go that direction. And Jordan Harris is a good name, I would say. Not necessarily the best, but he is fine. And if you wanted to talk about what he brought to the Montreal Canadiens, obviously that's my area of expertise, not really the Columbus side of things. Jordan Harris was always a pretty stable middle to bottom pairing kind of guy. 24 years old, 5'11", 190 pounds, left-handed dude. His birthday is pretty close to mine, actually, and he's making $1.4 million a year till the end of this season. He has 0 points in 10 games so far, on pace for about 0 points, after coming off of a 17 and 14 point season with the Montreal Canadiens. Now that was pretty much the start of his NHL career because he was in the Northeastern University Huskies system for so long. Even in the NCAA, Harris never shot the lights out with points and crazy production. He was always more so of just a transitory, defensively minded guy who could contribute offensively once in a while. He hasn't really found his footing in Columbus, which is unfortunate considering the price that Columbus paid to get him, which, of course, Patrik Laine, and they paid a pick to get Patrik Laine off of their team, and Harris was the return there. So unfortunately, Jordan Harris has not really panned out. I would say that if a Sens team went out there and tried to get Jordan Harris in a trade, who knows what the price is going to be? I mean, because Columbus paid such a hefty price to get rid of Patrik Laine, I do kind of wonder what sort of availability does exist there. Like, I think that the price they paid, it's not really like, oh, they paid such a big price to get Harris. It's they paid such a big price to get rid of Laine, if you know what I mean. It's kind of the other way around. So, do you think Harris has that connotation internally? Oh, we can't trade this guy away for peanuts because we traded so much to get him. Like, or is it really more of a, yeah, he's not really fitting here. We only got him because we paid a big price to get rid of Laine and his contract, so if we can get an offer that works, we'll consider it. I don't know, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section about that. And also when it comes to David Jiricek, he is a guy that if you wanted to project long-term stability on defense, oh yeah, Ottawa should go out there and target this dude because his availability has already been put into question considering his lack of ice time, considering his up and down rocky development so far in Columbus, and considering the fact that some people are discussing the idea of a David Jiricek trade in hockey media. Not necessarily in Columbus itself, but like we have fans all over the league saying, hey, this guy's not getting any playing time. This guy's in a really rough spot. What's that like? Is he going to get traded soon? Do the Blue Jackets not believe in this guy? Yada, yada, yada. And so if David Jiricek is on the market, you should go out there and target him. Straight up. It's going to cost a fortune pretty much because he was a top pick in the 2022 NHL Entry Draft. A guy who projected similarly to names like Moritz Seider, kind of big dude, mobile, can make the right play, defensively minded. He also produced a hell of a lot of points with the Cleveland Monsters the past 2 years, but this season he's not really being given much to work with at all, so you kind of have to feel for David Jiricek. But either way, if you end up trading for Jiricek and you're Ottawa, long-term, Thomas Chabot, okay, he's going to be there for a while. He's signed on for a long-term deal. He's very good right now. Who knows how good he's going to be 6 years from now or whatever. You have Jake Sanderson, who is supposed to be getting better. He kind of took a step back at the start of the season, but of course cooler heads will prevail. He's going to be fine. And then you have the other dudes too. I mean, Tyler Kleven's still in the organization. I don't know what Jacob Bernard-Docker is going to look like long term. I think a lot of Sens fans are sort of losing faith in him. He already lost out on some other guys like Lassie Thompson, Eric Bronstrom, but with those two dudes in Chabot and Sanderson, things should be okay. And if you added on a David Jiricek and the potential that he could bring, ultimately the Sens decor long-term could be just exquisite. And if you wanted to do something right now, take David Jiricek, right-handed guy, put him on the team, and reduce the amount of minutes that you give to Travis Hamonic. That actually does sound like not that bad of an idea. I've been seeing the Sens fans' comments, man. Y'all don't seem to like Hamonic a lot, and I could totally understand it because he was a Vancouver Canuck for a good amount of time, too. He does not really play the best hockey, I will say. Force out there, for sure. Like, he can be physical, and he lacks teeth, which kind of goes into that idea, but still, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about giving David Jiricek some of those minutes, splitting the load a little bit more, and whether or not you could see a trade like this going down. If you're a fan of the Sens, would you rather have Harris or Jiricek? What are the differences between focusing on a long-term versus a short-term perspective? And if you're a Blue Jackets fan, what is it that you would want in return from Ottawa for either of these two guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.